What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another edition of Tiger Talk Fridays, man. I appreciate y'all for being here. This is our second episode, man, presented to you by From the Sandbox Sports. If y'all weren't here for the first one, man, I get on here every Friday, talk my LSU Tigers. And this is all this segment of, our podcast network is centered around is LSU sports, man. And it's been a big day for LSU sports. A big week actually going into, first series of the year, SEC series of the year, sweeping Missouri. We'll talk, everything, about that series, man, my takeaways. And then I had a conversation with a guy on TikTok and he asked me actually about 2 weeks ago. I'll go back and look at the name. I forgot. If you see this, man, I'm sorry. I forgot your name. But he asked me what are some of my biggest surprises of LSU this far. And I'll get into that after I, run down the LSU Missouri series. I briefly want to talk, a little bit of football. Shout out John Emery. I don't know how you did it, man. I don't know how you get to come back for another year, but we're pleased to have you. I hope you can come back and have a career or a season well deserved, man. I know you've dealt with some injuries, a couple some academic things, and it's tough, man. Starting the season last year, going into USC, the run game was stagnant. And then we brought in the vet, man. John Emery come in, gave us a chance to win, opened up things in the air because what he was doing on the ground. And then, in practice that next week, tears his ACL. Very unfortunate. But yeah, I'm glad to hear he's back. I've watched got to watch some, LSU football practices. I saw Jake Pyburn mic'd up. I'm just so excited to see what it is going to happen 2025-26 season, man. And I was listening to a interview with Brian Kelly. He said, man, these guys coming here to win a championship, and I'm a diehard LSU guy, as y'all know, and if you don't know, I'll probably say this until, this podcast runs, until we run dry, that I'm a diehard LSU fan. And every year I'm not the fan that is going to say, I don't expect, and I always expect a lot from my Tigers, man. We're a couple years removed from a national championship. Anything less than that is honestly a down, unacceptable in my eyes. And coming out of this first transfer season where Brian Kelly really put his pedal to the metal here and shelled out a lot of bread, man, was matching investors, this and that. I got a real good feeling about this, man. I've, another interview with, I can't remember who it was. And I'm just so happy to, just so excited, man. I've heard a lot of good things about DJ Pickett, Braylon Moore, Pyburn. The biggest thing with me this year or coming into this year, wasn't the transfer portal guys. We were watching it, every single day, seeing who was out there, who we were getting. But my biggest, relief and breath of fresh air was, Harold Perkins coming back, man. That was probably the biggest get for me. I didn't know if he was going to go to the draft. I didn't know if he was going to transfer. But yeah, him coming back, man, just gave me the biggest breath of fresh air. I'm still going to ride by my guns and say, I think he's probably the most dynamic player, a defensive player in the country when he's fully healthy, man. There's not many people who can block him, stop him. And just the fact that Kelly and them have come out and said that this guy's going to play that star position, his true position. That star is kind of like it's something I've heard the past couple years. I think guys like, Michael Parsons and guys like that have kind of, reiterated that position, as a defensive end, linebacker, rush the passer, drop back, guys like that. I think these past couple years, they've kind of wanted to improve. Maybe, I don't know if this is the truth, but this is what I've kind of gotten out of it, is that they've wanted to kind of improve his draft stock, Harold Perkins' draft stock, and show that he is a versatile linebacker who can drop back in coverage and play sideline to sideline, which we already knew he could, but drop back in coverage and, defend tight ends, running backs out the backfield, which he did pretty well. But that's just not, I don't think that's maximizing Harold Perkins' full potential. I think he's give the quarterback hell for, 4 quarters, man. I call him, the black Bobby Boucher. That's what Harold Perkins is to me, man. And like I said, I'm just so happy to see him back. And then on top of that, we just got a commitment from the number 1 receiver in the country, which is another breath of fresh air, man, because I think that's going to attract a quarterback. We have, Colin Hurley, who is, we don't know. I think he's pretty good. Van Buren's a young guy who could be good too. But, ever since kind of Joe Burrow, we've kind of, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, we've kind of had that, if we can have a great quarterback, then we can have some upside. And, granted, Nessemeyer did good last season. He kind of slipped up at the end of the season, and things kind of fell apart. Defense fell completely apart, but that's another story for another day. But, I think that having, the receiving core we have now, a couple, guys that have maybe another year, and signing so many cats at wide receiver, Barry and Brown, Nick Anderson, all these guys, that I think it's going to start attracting more guys to come to LSU and play quarterback. And make the quarterback position at LSU a key place on their map. I'm talking about these young cats who are coming out of high school. Got all these schools, this and that. I think LSU will start being on the top of that, recruiting, these great receivers. But yeah, I just want to touch on that right quick, man. I'm so excited for football. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this baseball, man. My main takeaway from last weekend, LSU versus Missouri, we swept them. It was, in me being me, I'm always gonna, I'm glad they swept him. Do what you got to do, but it wasn't all peaches and cream, man. It was kind of scrappy, but that's something that I wanted to see out of LSU. You know what I'm saying? I kind of wanted to see them go through it, and have to fight. This last weekend they were asked to win in, I believe, 3 different ways. You know what I'm saying? Friday, they come out, put a 12 spot, did what they had to do. Cade Anderson, shoved. He showed that he is the obvious Friday night guy. Through 6 innings, 2 walks, 11 Ks. He's the one guy that's solidified. And then Saturday, you had to fight a little bit. And I'll get into that in just a little bit. But going into Texas, I believe they'll keep the same rotation. I think, Einstein struggled on Saturday, but he struggled, he struggled in the first couple of innings all year long. He's shook him back, most of the time throughout the season, in the non-con. But it was just something, I don't know, maybe it was his first SEC start. I don't know if it's something just wasn't there. I got a lot of faith in Einstein. I think he'll come out and, be just fine. And, Shores come out Sunday and obviously that wasn't the outing we expected. 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. That's not ideal. Especially for your Sunday guy. Like I said last week, Sundays can get weird and nasty and tricky. That's not the outing we wanted to see, which in that aspect right there, Sunday and specifically, was kind of where I kind of held my breath a little bit and had to, honestly, I was thinking, watching the game that I think Shores should be, Shores. I think Connor Ware should be our, you know what I'm saying? But I think they'll keep the same rotation. The bullpen was all right. Like I said, watching the game, it honestly made me sick to my stomach. Honestly, a lot of walks. The guys can't, the zone was not filled up. But Sunday, speaking about Maverick Rizzi in specific, Maverick Rizzi come in Sunday again, mind you, come in again. and redeemed himself. He got Ware out of a bind. What'd he do? Yeah, he got Ware out of a bind. But Ware come out Saturday and did what he did. He looked great. Jay Johnson is the cat I've seen these past couple of years. I think he likes his best guys, or not his best guys in particular, but his better arms coming out of the pen, which I can respect that a lot. You know what I'm saying? The thing about baseball is, if you have a good, you have good starters, but the offense can really breathe if they can get to the pen. And in the years past, LSU has been pretty decent in the pen. But it's just been a little iffy this first series, which it'll get better. I think things will shake out how they're supposed to be. I think they'll find a rotation they like. Like I said, I think this starting rotation will be the same this week. But I'm hard pressed to feel like this rotation will be the rotation throughout the season. Cade Anderson, I believe, is locked in on Fridays. He's the tone setter, come out and, give you the best chance to get the first win. In SEC play, getting that first win is huge, man, because it gives you drive into the weekend. And you come out with a win in an SEC series, you got something to hang your hat on. You know what I'm saying? We got to stay away from sweeps. That's the number one thing. If there was one thing I wanted to see out of LSU all season, even if we don't make a regional, a super, it's just not getting swept, man. I just do not want to see a sweeps. Those are, killers. But yeah, another thing, like I said, I think the bullpen will bounce back. Another person who I had high hopes for, and really didn't have any bumps or hiccups going into SEC play was Smith. He come in and I believe, he gave up a bomb, and, his whole just body language, that's a big thing with baseball is body language. And, guys watch that. It's it's not an individual sport, but it's so, individualized. You know what I'm saying? Guys are watching the pitcher lets go of the ball. You're watching your hitter. And man, it was just kind of he's a young cat, it's expected, but like I said, he hasn't really had much adversity. It was good to see him have a little adversity. His first SEC appearance, if you're not in high school anymore, you know what I'm saying? These guys are here for a reason. These guys are in Division I SEC for a reason. And, it's just comes with the territory, man. I think Will Smith will be a solid piece for us. Man, I could honestly see him getting into that starting rotation at some point. I know Johnson said we won't see him on Tuesdays no more, which I totally agree with. But it was good to see him go through something. You know what I'm saying? And by something, I mean, adversity. Things weren't going his way. He struggled to fill up the zone a little bit. And when he did, he got hit. That was good to see. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, all in all, my takeaways from the weekend for the pitcher in particular was I think the bullpen will get there. I think Guidry is scheduled to come back soon. That's all I've heard is soon. And once he comes back, that's another guy out the pen who is certified. You know what I'm saying? He is solidified himself into a rotation. He's proved he can do it. I'm a big Gavin Guidry guy. I like his energy. He commands the zone. He's not going to go up there and walk the house. But yeah, I think they're going to be just fine. So this brings me to my next kind of topic was the conversation I had with the guy on TikTok. He said, "What are some of your surprises and things that stuck out?" First off is Jared Jones to this point. Jared Jones is a guy who the offense, I believe, he runs behind. You know what I'm saying? They feed off of Jared Jones. His first couple of seasons, Jared Jones was a 300 guy. He was going to get you. He was going to, obviously his power has went nowhere. You know what I'm saying? His power's been there. He's going to hovered around 300 and was going to, throw something out the yard, and that's what you want from your first baseman. You know what I'm saying? There's different, nowadays it's kind of, first base has kind of changed to where, you got your slap guys, guys that are going to, dink and dunk. I mean, bun them up, you know what I'm saying? So Jared Jones is not that guy. He's a traditional first baseman, 3-4 hole, going to give you the power. But I don't know what has changed in him, but something has just clicked. And I've seen a Jared Jones that took himself from a late rounder to a hopeful, late first rounder, second round guy. He's hitting 420, leading LSU in RBIs and home runs. Jared Jones was a big swing and miss guy. And now we're starting to see this new Jared Jones 2.0 where he's putting at bats together. I can't remember what day, but specifically, but I saw an at bat to where, a first pitch curveball, a little hanger, you could tell he was trying to take it yard. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to do what Jared Jones does. And in years past, that would kind of demoralize him. That's probably a heavy word, but it's what I could think of right now. Demoralize him to where, if he swung and missed that one pitch he thought he was going to see, that bat was over. You know what I'm saying? So, but the last weekend I saw him swing and miss. It was a bad swing and miss at that. And then put together in that bat and get a base in line one over second base. That's something that takes a lot of discipline right there. Coming from a baseball guy, that takes a lot of discipline right there to take one over second base after, taking what the pitcher gives you. You know what I'm saying? Being a power guy, you obviously, want to see the yard ball. But to take what the pitcher gives you, take an outside fastball right over second base, that's a breath of fresh air right there. That just shows why his maturity in the game. I'm glad he come back for another year. But yeah, I think that improved his draft stock dramatically. He's a vacuum at first base. We don't got to worry about him at first base. He's filled 992 this year. He's a career 990 guy. But what he's done at the plate this year in particular has, like I said, improved his draft stock. As a freshman, he struck out 30 times, and he struck out 12 times this year with 15 walks. Like, that's showing his discipline at the plate, and that obviously comes with maturity, but he's showing his discipline at the plate, showing he can, take the ball other ways. He's had, I can't, off the top of my head think of the number, but he's had a few oppo bombs, which is good to see as well. That just shows that this man is locked in at the plate. You know what I'm saying? To where he realizes he has power to all sides of the field, and he can take any pitch anywhere he wants to, which is good. So I'm calling, late first round, early second round guy, because that 300 with a lot of bombs is the average first baseman in the league. You know what I'm saying? That grants you a late rounds, and maybe a shot at the league with some injuries due. But a first baseman who can put at bats together like Jared Jones is now, like I said, hitting 420, leading the team in ribbies and homers. That's a great sign. But another thing that has surprised me, it's on to my second point. Another thing that surprised me with LSU is the consistency of depth on offense, man. We've seen, guys that aren't everyday guys, a guy like Ethan Fry, a guy like Michael Braswell, who, coming into the ballpark, and not knowing if you're starting, and granted, they probably know the lineups the night before, but not knowing how many at-bats you're going to get, how much PT you're going to get, that weighs on you heavy. You know what I'm saying? As a guy who has been a role player, my first year in JUCO, I was I was a pinch hitter, you know what I'm saying? First guy off the bench, hitting. And that's kind of, it's kind of not demoralizing again. I'm trying to think of another word, but I'm stuck on that. It's hard to stay focused and locked in. But, guys like Ethan Fry is a great example of, one, stepping up to the plate when, no pun intended, stepping up to the plate when your time is called. And then two, taking advantage of every opportunity you get. You know, Sunday, Ethan Fry comes in 3 for 4, great at bats. You know what I'm saying? Tuesday against who they play, Nola, had a bomb, show power. You know what I'm saying? He's just, it's almost to the point like Jay Johnson is probably pulling his hair out trying to figure out these lineups. You know, that, like I said, they're so deep with, you know, Fry, Pearson, you know, Jake Brown coming along, you know, even Reeves. Granted, Reeves didn't have the weekend he wanted. I'm not sure he's even saw an at bat. But, you know, guys just staying locked in. And you know, I said Ethan Fry is a great example. Braswell's another example too, man. They struggled this season up to SEC play, you know, but throughout the non-con, I could tell that Braswell was on the ball. He hit a lot of deep pop-ups, you know what I'm saying? A lot of line drives that just didn't fall. That's part of baseball right there. And the fact that he come in, I think it was Saturday, where, you know, he had the safety squeeze. It was suicide squeeze first AB, safety squeeze second AB. That's 2 RBIs right there. And then a single over shortstop for 3 RBIs. And at that time, that was maybe they had 3 or 4 runs. It was 3 RBIs off his bat, you know, playing his role, man. So shout out Michael Braswell, hit 333 this week, or this last weekend. And that's just, I can't say enough about Braswell, man. I saw, you know, a lot of LSU guys were down on Braswell saying, oh, it's not meant to be this and that. You got to realize, man, he moved from shortstop. Shortstop is a whole different position than third base. Shortstop is more relaxed. You know what I'm saying? It's more, it's just more, you know, I don't mean to be, you know, simple minded, but it's more chill. You know what I'm saying? Where third, you know, it's not called the hot corner for no reason. But, you know, his glove has always been there. I think Braswell has a great glove. But the offensive production, wasn't there at the start of the season, which kind of gave me some worry, I'd say, because, you know, Braswell, the glove was there, the bat wasn't. Obviously, they found out what they could do with him. They could bunt him any way he wants to. He bunts the ball great, which is a great asset to have at a 7, 8, 9 hole guy. And then Reeves coming in, and Reeves, you know, bat came along, but he was feeling like 8. He was high eights fielding percentage, which is not very good. So the question was, do we sacrifice fielding for offensive production? And I think they found the answer right here in Braswell. You know, I think Reeves will get a chance here and there, but I think Braswell after this week has showed, you know, he'll sacrifice himself for the team. He still puts together pretty good at bats. It is for a 7. I believe he's hitting 7 last week, and I think he'll stay around there. But yeah, I can't say enough about Braswell. And that brings me to my third point about being consistent was the inconsistency of the bullpen. Coming into this season, it was all, we have so many arms. We had, 7, 8 guys who could come out of the pen, this and that. But it's just been, we've gotten by. You know what I'm saying? Going into SEC play, we got by. The pen was a question. Even, going in after my bad, guys, hold on. Oh, shoot. That pickle sauce has got me messed up. But going into the weekend, even after, the series, it was kind of like everything else was clicking but the bullpen. You know what I'm saying? So that's another surprise for me because of all the guys we had, coming in, Connor Ware, Will Smith, guys like that, that were so highly touted who, Connor Ware is probably, not up there no more, but Case and Evans, guys like that who Connor Benj, guys like that who were supposed to be, the guys, you know what I'm saying? And not having the production they've wanted thus far. But Yeah, I'm not worried about them right now. I think we'll get by. I think we feel good enough to, you know, pick up where the bullpen kind of falls short of. If say so and so walks somebody, gets a hard base hit, I have faith that we're going to make it. We're going to turn that double play and get out the inning. It's not going to be pretty, and I don't think this weekend coming up against Texas, it'll be pretty. I don't think it'll be pretty, but I think this team picks up each other better than a lot of LSU teams I've seen. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody picks up each other's slack, and that gives guys coming out the pen a lot of faith. It gives them a lot of confidence that not that they can miss a pitch, not that they can mess up, but that the defense will help them out. So that's another big thing for me. That would kind of surprise me was the bullpen inconsistency thus far. And last but not least, there's a million things I could talk about. There's a million things that have surprised me about this team. And like I said, most of it's good, other than the inconsistencies in pitching. But it's the production of the freshmen, man. And I'm talking about Curiel in particular. Hitting 434 reach base in all 20 all games. Man, it's so. I don't know if casual guys watching can comprehend how difficult it is as a Division I guy, as a freshman at that, hitting leadoff, to have the amount of production that he's had, and he's played a great left field. So that's been another surprise for me, is how good Curiel's come along. I think that he's a major league guy. He's a pro guy. Just his, like I said last week, his aura, his swag about him. He's just so confident, and he just looks like he's supposed to be there. And then another freshman who is, really showed me a lot is Kason Evans, man. He showed a lot of maturity. He has 4 saves already, and that's without Gavin Guidry being in there. When Gavin Guidry comes in, that's another a security blanket. You know what I'm saying? For guys like Kason Evans. Kason Evans has shown great maturity. What he did in the weekend, he's had 2 appearances. I think it's Friday or Saturday and Sunday. Had a little trouble Sunday, Maverick Rizzi. And it was kind of opposite between Rizzi and Evans, Rizzi come in Saturday, didn't look too great, you know what I'm saying? And then come in and gets Connor Ware out of a bind Sunday. But yeah, Kason Evans has come along great. I think he's going to be a first guy out the pen type guy, not like a specialist type guy, but a first guy out the pen, starter, struggles, Kason Evans. You know what I'm saying? Starter goes long. You need to get somebody in to, bring up a closer, Kason Evans. I think that Kason Evans has showed great maturity, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds for him. And, this weekend coming up against Texas, going to Texas, is going to be tough. Probably our toughest matchup yet. Missouri is, with all due respect, it's not a great team. They hit all right, but that pitching staff is horrible. Like, they are horrible. I think that this coming up week is going to show a lot more. So, next week's episode, I'll probably have a lot more to talk about. There wasn't much to talk about this week. Like I said, inconsistency with bullpen, Ianson struggling, getting pulled early. Him and Shores getting pulled early, not having their best outings. But like I said, with about Evans and even Smith, that I'm glad that these guys went through that early, and against a team like Missouri, to where, they have room to, what's the word I'm trying to say? Hold on. They had room to, they had a little bit of leeway, you know what I'm saying? Because, how bad Missouri was. So I think, and, honestly, going into it, I think we're number 2. Texas is probably sitting at 4 or 5. I can't remember. But, it's an obvious more motivation, if that makes sense. It's more, I got to be more locked in. I have no room to mess up. Texas is the truth. They swept last week too. So, yeah, and you can't look over a Schlossnagle coach team. That man is probably one of the best coaches in the SEC and in college baseball right now. Took a team deep in the postseason last year, and then comes to a first year SEC team and gets a sweep week one. Like this is going to be a tough matchup. I plan to see. Last week I kind of said, let me go ahead and eat crow, and let me apologize to Michael Braswell. I thought Reeves was the guy. I thought Reeves was the guy Friday and Saturday, was going to play third, but I got to eat crow. Braswell come in, did his thing. But why I'm saying that, because, thinking thinking Reeves was going to be the guy, that I think we'll see a lot more of Ethan Fry this week as well. I plan to see a lot more of Ethan Fry. I think Texas will throw out a lot of lefties as well. I believe their Friday, Saturday guys are lefty, maybe even their Sunday guys. And Ethan Fry has just ate up lefties. I don't know what it is. I'm a righty too, and I hated lefties, man. I kill right-handed all day long, but man, lefty, just something about a lefty. But you'd see those righties who just love lefties. I mean, it's crazy. I don't understand it. But, I think we'll see a lot more of Ethan Fry. Pearson's obviously going to be in there as well. Him and Brown are going to kind of fight for that right field spot. DH, I think, start a lefty, Ethan Fry, depending on how he's going, righty comes in, pinch hit Josh Pearson. It's just little shit like that, man. I think that LSU, I think we have Jay Johnson has a lot of options. I believe, in my eyes, I think they need to solidify a lineup. But with the guys in depth that we have, it's kind of hard to right now, but it'll weed itself out. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all for today. That's all I got to talk about right now. Like I said, after the better matchup, we'll have a little more to talk about. Steady getting into more spring ball, football. We'll have a lot more to talk about as well. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for rocking with us. This is another episode of Tiger Talk Fridays, man, presented to you by From the Sandbox Sports. Appreciate y'all for everything, man. Be sure to tap into From the Sandbox Sports anywhere on all social media platforms, man. Click the sub button on YouTube, notification bell, all that, man. Leave us a comment if you rock with the content, man. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Till next time. Peace.